This video is going to cover how to draw a figure in action. So the reference photo that I looked up is a person running. So it's an image of a person running, and I'm going to try to just step by step demonstrate how to draw this person. Okay. And this is taking into account what you guys have been learning so far with, just the basics, the head, the rib cage, the pelvis, stick figures as a starting point. All right, so let's get started. All right, so, one way to start with this running figure, and I'll try to include this image in the assignment. Not the assignment, I'm sorry. This is not an assignment. This is just an extra video for you to take a look at, just to help you out in terms of improving your drawing skills of drawing people. And try to include this image in the announcement page. Okay, so you can try to follow along if you want. And just drawing the human figure can be kind of tough. It just takes practice, attention to detail, and incrementally try to improve your skills and understanding step by step, a little bit at a time. All right. So where do we start with this figure? I would suggest we start off with the spine, and I'm going to represent the spine with just a curved line. All right, so there's the spine. Essentially, it's kind of like the back, just the contour of the back. Okay. And what's nice about this is once you have this established on the page, it kind of gives you an idea of the space remaining for the rest of your figure. And as you practice the figure, you'll get better at placing the figure, composing the figure. I've noticed over the years that a lot of students, they get very nervous when they're drawing the human figure because of its complexity. But I would ask you just to relax and don't treat all of your drawings as so precious that you feel like they have to be perfect. And these are all, certain drawings are meant to do certain things. Certain drawings you spend more time with. Other drawings are just studies. They're not that important, but they're just kind of like evidence of your progress as you go along. So taking that into account, here's the spine. And then before we continue, I'm going to draw a circle. That's the head. All right. This is kind of bridging off of what you've studied with those diagrams that I asked you to draw. And then for the lungs or the chest area, there's the rib cage area. There you go. So 1, 2, and then what did you study before we were drawing? We drew the pelvis. So I'm going to draw the pelvis as a circle. That's 3. 1, 2, 3, right there. So that's before we draw the arms, the feet, everything else extending away from the torso, the main part of the body. We want these 3, identify these 3 first. And I left a space between 1 and 2 because that's the place for the neck. It connects to the chest area, all right? And then with connecting 2 and 3, I'm going to connect with just a tapered line connecting those 2. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I can give this person like a beer belly, like extended abdomen. But I don't want to do that. I just want to connect it. This person's kind of fit. There we go. Now we're going to move on, and then we're going to draw the shoulders. Okay, the top of the shoulders. They're called deltoid muscles, the top of the upper arm. And from the exercise, we drew those circles, didn't we? So this one, I made a mistake already. So I want to identify where's that right shoulder. And because this person's running, this circle's extended outwards, forward a little bit. Okay, so I drew that, and then we drew a line indicating the angle of that upper arm. Okay, and there's our elbow, and then this represents the lower arm. This is our right arm, and on the back we're going to draw, see through this figure. There's our left shoulder, and then we're going to connect simple, just stick figures for the arms, and then there's the circle for the elbow, and then this comes down, and I don't quite see the other hand. It's kind of covered by the body itself. So there's our upper arm. There's our just a stick figure with shapes 1, 2, 3, the skull, the rib cage, and the pelvis. Now we're going to move on to the legs. So the right leg is the center of the circle. I'm going to follow the angle from that to the knee. There's the knee. And then we're going to draw the length of that lower leg. There's the ankle. And for right now, just the angle of the foot, I'm just going to put a line. And that just that's the heel to the toe, just a simple line. And then for the left leg, it's coming in a different direction. I'm going to draw, let's change that angle. So here I'm going to draw that angle, which is like maybe 45 degree. Okay. There's from the upper leg to the knee, and then we're going to draw the lower leg. There's the ankle, and again, I'm just going to draw a line for the feet. So I try to keep that as simple as possible, but I think, building on simplicity, it just makes so much more sense. It's just, you can understand it, keeping it that simple. And a lot of it is proportion. Younger people, little children, 7-year-olds, proportions are different. Their heads are bigger in relationship to their body. And as we get older, our limbs grow out. We're taller. Our heads in relationship, it's a little bit smaller in relationship to the overall height of the, like a young adult or an adult. Now, where do we go next with this? So, you understand this. Let's go ahead and flesh out the shape of the arms. And we're not going to get into the muscles and all that complexity of tendons and fat and all that stuff. Let's just connect the shoulders to the elbow. And there's a general proportion, the movement. It's usually thicker at the shoulders and it tapers. It gets narrower as you move down. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to keep that in mind and go narrower as I go downwards. Look at that. And then from the elbow to the wrist, same thing. It gets narrower as it gets to the wrist. Look at that. And then the other arm here, we're going to just connect that same logic. Okay? That logic of at the shoulders, it's thicker, the arms, and it goes narrower to the elbow, and then same for the lower arm, and then to the legs. So the hips, the upper leg connected to the pelvis is wider, and it gets narrower. Okay. From the hip muscles, your hip. Look at that. Looks like gears for a bicycle. And then we're going to do the same for the right leg here. We haven't done a whole lot of definition, just the contours of the... Now here, same thing. We're going to go wider to narrower. Looks like a very narrow vase. Some people, their calves are thicker, narrower. We're just going off of this one reference image, okay? All right. Now for the feet, some people draw feet really small, and I want you to compare your feet to your lower leg. Look how, long your feet are, okay? So don't make them too short. Same thing with your hands later on. Don't make them too how do you say small hands. Okay. So this one I'm going to use. I'm just going to create a triangle. Wider part of the triangle at the back of the heel, and then to the toes. There you go. What a great start to understanding figures. And I'm going to stop there just briefly, just say if this is what you know, this is a great way to practice your reference images from drawing from memory. Just practicing without references sometimes. Just see if you can visualize and kind of feel out the logic of the figures using these sticks, shapes, line figures, and simple shapes, and identifying where the spine is, where the head, the rib cage, and the hip are. Okay, that's number one. Now I'm going to go just a little bit further here. Let's take our eraser, and what I want to do is I want to erase, lighten up the drawing that we have. Okay, I don't want to erase it completely. I want to be able to see it still. And you can do this with your eraser on paper. A kneaded eraser, a gray eraser is really good for this. It's not super strong, and you can control the amount that it erases the pencil. All right, that looks good. And then I can go back in with my pen and go ahead and, wow, I can just follow along the human head. Look at the cranium. We're going to do the skull later on, and just follow along. And just notice the rhythm of curves, the leaf-like shapes, the curvature of the deltoid, the triceps. And practice this. Look at that, just identifying and getting used to mimicking the curvature. Look at the negative space. Here's the bicep. Here's the back, the curvature of that spine. Here's the glutes. The front of the head, let's go ahead, and here's the front. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. You know, there's a number that I think of when I draw faces. I think of, the number one you do is, there are 5 bumps on the face, and number 1 is the brow. There's the brow, there's a little bump. The next bump is the nose. The next bump is the upper lip. Next bump is the lower lip. And then the last lip, is the chin. There you go. A little awkward dude here. Where am I going? Okay. There you go. And then for the right arm, follow along. This person's sort of muscular, and then you have the shoulder muscle, and then it connects to the bicep. There's tension there. And then on the back, there's the tricep. Goes to the elbow. And again, I'm thinking wider to narrower. Wider to narrower. And I started off with just this circle, but the circle is a great way to go back in and put in some of the angularity, the angles of the little details of the knuckles moving off from that hand. So it's a kind of a balance, a rhythm of angled lines to curved lines. And then for the front, draw that in. Notice the leg, it's a little bit rounded toward the top, and it kind of tapers down into the flat part of the knee. The knee kind of juts out, the patella, the kneecap. It comes down, and you notice the front of the shin, it's a little bit more, there's a little bit of curvature because of the muscle, but it's fairly straight, a little bit straighter. And then the back of the calf, it's rounded. It's rounded. There's the calf muscle, comes down. Now there's a shoe here, but let's draw the right foot here. And with the foot, I'm going to just follow along the contour of the shoe. Okay, and then just the slope the slow slope coming down. Okay, that's where our ankle would be. Then we're going to do the back. Okay, I think maybe the right leg should be, notice the strong curved shape of the front of the calf. And now the back, we're going to draw, see, there's the glute, your butt muscle here, and then it kind of dips down, and there's your hamstrings. Those of you who have done sports or track, you maybe understand some of the basic muscles. And then again, here's the calf muscle, rounded, whereas the front is not as rounded. And then let's draw that, the heel, the arch comes down, the front pads of the foot. All right, and then let's see, this guy has shorts on. All right, so there's our basic shape and form, and I'm happy with it. You know, we did 1, 2, 3. Start out with stick figures. Now, let's try to add some cross hatching into this. And for this one, you could make up your own light source, but I'll just put a little graphic here for you to take a look at. So let's say the light's coming from this direction. So because of that, this light is shining on this. The rays of light are shining onto this figure from the right. On this side, it's obscured. The person is blocking themselves, the parts of the body, it's darker. So the right side is lighter, the left side is darker. Okay? Okay, so knowing that, we can use our cross-hatching skills. So I'm just going to put in some cross-hatching here. Just lay down a foundation of, so there's the egg shape of the head, okay? There's a cylinder right here of the neck. And this lay down this basic cross-hatching of lines. This is turning over the egg shape of the chest. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty cool. There's that kind of spheroid, ball-like shape of the muscles of the upper arm. The back of the arm, let's go ahead and put down some. Now here, the top left side of that forearm should be obscured. So because remember, the light's coming from this side, right? So the opposite side should be darker. And every time I put in some cross-hatching, look at that. It's on the opposite side of that shape and form. So light is bending around this figure. Let's see, where would the light be on this left forearm? It would be on the bottom portion. The light peeking through, shining on that part of the arm. Let's keep flowing down that shadow, moving around the ball-like shapes. You know, where is the area that's obscured? It's the area that's obscured is like a sphere. And the more lines you add, the darker it becomes. Am I worried about if each hatch line is perfect? No. I'm really concerned about just practicing and blocking in these shapes and forms. And so on the leg here, this is the portion I think where it'd be darker. It's on the left side of this figure. And for the feet, that can be a little bit challenging. Let's see here. Let's make this the back of the calf here is darker. I'm going to flow that down. It's going to go around the ankle. The bottom of the foot's going to be darker. And let's keep it at that. Down here, the bottom of the foot will be darker. I want to go back and erase this portion right here because that should be lighter. There we go. That makes sense because his left leg should be darker right here. And oh, there's a shadow underneath his right arm, so let's go ahead and put that shadow in there. Some cross hatching. So right now it's kind of crude, but what do you think, guys? Do you think that looks more natural? Let's go back up to the head there. And so as the light turns to the very opposite side of this shape, it's the darkest area. I'm not too worried about the front. I'll just go ahead and lower the opacity. Very light. Kind of like a bridge value. From the very strong white highlights, the brightest portion, to and later on, once you study muscles and tendons and fat and the angles and planes of the human body, you'll start to understand where certain landmarks should be. And that's going to affect how light falls on those shapes and forms. And then, gosh, when you study clothes, how that shapes the shape of the clothes, and it's determined by the underlying structure of the human figure. All right, so we're almost there. We're going to wrap it up pretty soon. So what's the purpose of cross-hatching? Some of you have kind of discovered cross-hatching. It's a wonderful texture. You can work on your techniques, your different ways of creating cross-hatch. Dots if you want, or small little strokes layered on top of each other. But this is a wonderful way to understand shading. And shading is using a blending stick, a tortillon. Some people use their fingers, a piece of paper or tissue. But what's really nice is once you have that kind of practice, you can go back in, and I'm going to demonstrate on this Procreate digitally, but I'm just going to go ahead and not just get rid of all the cross-hatching marks, but I'm going to do a digital blending stick, the finger here, and just kind of soften in areas. Let's transition from light to dark, a little more natural, a little bit smoother. I want to keep in some of the texture. All right. That looks pretty good. Let's see here. I think this is where we want to finish for today. Yeah, I think this is good. So I hope you enjoyed that. And, this is just a demonstration for you. And I want you to use it in your way, the way you think it's going to help you in your natural way of drawing the figure, your techniques, your personality of drawing that you've evolved so far. So I hope it was helpful for you. And if you have any comments or questions, you can send them to me as well.